And we're live. Hey, what's up, guys? Happy New Year. This is the first broadcast in 2019. And we have a bunch of good questions today. So, first, short announcement. Lost another friend to drug abuse, OD'd. So, why do I bring this up? Because we are all dopamine addicts, meaning on social media, we like the likes and gives us a certain high, and this burns out our dopamine receptors, and from there on it's pretty easy to gravitate into something that's maybe not so healthy to get more dopamine. So be careful out there. You know, bodybuilding is obviously a sport where we all want to be adored, we want to be liked, and so on and so forth. And then if we don't get it on the online world, or like if our levels burn out, then there's probably a high tendency that we reach into a substance that will help us get there, and that ends badly, just with my friend. So that was the first somber statement. Next question, what do I think about cheat meals? I don't like them. And not because I don't want you guys to eat, it's because it's a stupid term. Cheat meal sounds like prison. It sounds like you can never have this food, which makes you want it even more, which creates an unhealthy relationship with food. So if something is forbidden or you can't consume it, then it's gonna set you up for failure. So basically, the way it sounds to me is like, my life sucks, my eating sucks, but Thursday nights I get to eat like whatever, a pecan pie or whatever, right? So people that are dependent on cheat meals and cheat days, they never develop the ability to say like, oh, this was a tasty cookie, and they move on. They will always eat the bag of cookies and then, you know, punish themselves the next day with cardio and so on and so forth. So I don't like cheat meals. I like you factor this into your macros, or let's say you have a big dinner with your company or your friends tonight, you just eat less during the day, and then you eat, you know, like an old person at night. But this whole cheat meal, cheat day thing, that's nonsensical in my book. With that, kind of would factors in is, hey John, how to keep the enthusiasm going. So today is, you know, January 2nd, we're all like gung-ho, we want to do this, right? So let's say you signed up with like a bro of yours or like your spouse, and how do you transform this enthusiasm into something that lasts longer? Okay, so success begets success, right? So basically what you want to do, and listen carefully because it's actually quite important, you want to do as little as you can while you get results. What I mean by this, so most people that join the gym or do something, they do everything, right? They do cardio, weights, classes, cut the calories. Okay, what do you do from here? Where do you go? There's nothing left, right? So instead, you want to do as little as you can while you make progress. Let's say you come from zero, you work out twice a week. That's a really huge increase, right? And then you maybe add a third session, and then you maybe like add another set or so. And then you add some cardio come March when you stagger or so. Same with the calories. You don't cut your calories too drastically. You cut them just enough so you're losing weight, right? Yes, I know you're all tough guys and you can suffer and whatever, but you're gonna raid the fridge, okay? So in order to make it sustainable, you have to create successes. And if you're already maxing out, then you're training 2-3 hours a day. Then what? Where are you gonna go from there? There's nothing left. So start with as little as you can and amp it up from there, and maximize the sessions, right? So don't just go there, do them like, you know, in a way where you get the proper squeeze, where you get the proper contraction, all that sort of thing, you know? So that's important. And also, do not rely on the gym to help you be successful. The gym is in the business of selling you stuff, not to make you successful per se. Think about it. The fitness industry, that's actually gets into the next point, is a business, right? But it's not that complicated. So if people figure out what they have to do, which is basically squat, lunge, squat, hip thrust, push, pull, and eat a reasonably okay diet, they'll be like in the Matrix, everybody took the blue pill. You're like, fuck, they figured it out. They don't need us anymore. So in order to keep you dependent, they have to throw new stuff at you. This class, this diet, this shake, this supplement, whatever. But really, all this stuff doesn't really matter. So if you just go back on the YouTube channel, you look up like how to create the workout for you, and you eat the basic diet videos, you'll be just fine. So the gym will just sell you whatever is hot, okay, that trainer, that class, or whatever, but they have no interest in you figuring it out. So that's up to you. You have to take a step back. And I'm not going to go into too much here. You can do this on the YouTube page. Set up your own workout from there. Okay, the gym is in the business of selling you gym stuff. Okay, classes, personal training. Now, good. I'm a personal trainer, so I think I'm value added, to people. But you should do as much as you can on your own. Okay. So that's that. Then what do I have? Functional training. Yeah, that's beyond me. So when that came about, like all people jumping on the bouncy balls and whatever, like, are you nuts? So let's define functional. Who of us in day-to-day activities ever bounces on a ball in the subway? So think about it. You take in the airplane, you're pushing your luggage up, right? Overhead press. You go to the carousel, you pick it up, it's a deadlift. You like grabbing your kid from running away, that's a lunge, okay? So the basic motions that you do in weight training is plenty, okay? Now, if you're in the Cirque du Soleil or you're playing the NFL, I can see how you need to do some functional stuff with kettlebells. But otherwise, you're just asking for injury, like benching on a Bosu ball, like on a ball. Like, are you insane? That's so dangerous for the cuff, right? Like, there's nothing beneficial to you. Most people can't even do a bodyweight squat. So why on God's green earth should they go on an instability surface and do a squat, right? Figure out the basics first, then worry about bodyweight, something unstable. The difference is you come back from injury, you have to relearn balance, that's a different story, but most of us are not. So functional training is one of the things that the gyms throw at you because it's new and it's difficult and you think it's better. But you know what? Handling uranium is difficult too. That doesn't mean you should do it, okay? The basics work fine. Now imagine, what I said before, the fit industry is like the Matrix. If people took the blue pill, they'd be like, oh, this is it. And yeah, it's not that complicated. It's not easy, but it's not that complicated as people make it to look, right? So you don't need all these classes, this, that, the other, You need some basic workouts, do them properly, figure out how to contract your muscles, and that's that. So that brings me to my next point. I'm doing this because it worked for this guy or for myself. Stop. That's nonsense. First of all, what does it worked mean? Like, okay, so let's say this guy won a title. The first thing you understand, when you're talking about pro bodybuilders, a lot of them are in shape despite their training, not because of. They have such genetics and drug use that they can do things that you and I cannot. Example, Arnold in pumping iron doing flies down to here. You try this, your cuff goes, okay? For him, it worked, okay? Now then people say, oh, I'm doing this exercise because XYZ built his chest with that. Okay. Do you have AMG measurements that you know that this exercise had the most stimulation on his chest? Do you live with the guy? Do you know his drug cycle, his eating disorders? No. You can only rely on science. So saying this works for somebody, or I've been doing X for the last 2 years, it works for me. Most people cannot even give you what they ate for lunch 2 days ago. So when somebody says, oh, for the last 2 years this worked, this means nothing, okay? So just following a story as opposed to a study is really not all that bright. So I had this debate about my Dorian Yates video where I said that this type of training, what Dorian Yates did, does not work for the average person. And the comeback was, well, he won 6 Olympias. That's true. He also had a ton of injuries, and you don't know if he had not looked better or so if he had done something different. Okay, there's a parallel universe. But you're not Dorian Yates, last time I checked, so you cannot train like him. So that's an insanely dumb term. What about off days, Mike? That's a good question. So, you ready for this? I don't take days off. Not because I'm so hardcore, but because when I take a complete day off, like my body shuts down so badly that I have a hard time coming back out of it. Now that's also due to my mental condition, I believe. And also I have, due to my background as a swimmer, the ability to handle a lot of volume that most people cannot, okay? So what I do on the days where I'm supposed to be off, I do like 20 minutes as more like active recovery. So I pick one workout per body part and do like mechanical drops and then I'm out of there, okay? So I'm not doing a workout per se, but I'm in the gym. Now, I'm not saying you should do that. I'm just saying that the term off days can mean different things to different people. Some people want a mental break, they don't want to be in the gym, that they have had it, and that's fine, okay? But it also doesn't pay to be so close-minded and say like everybody has to do X, you know? So someone like me who has a background of handling lots of volume can obviously train 7 days, even though 2 out of those 7 days are probably not going to be so hardcore in terms of training, okay? So off days, once again, you obviously need time off, you need to come down, but I always find the people that do best in the sport, they train sort of like in a band. So like my eating and training was definitely lower edge of the band come Christmas, New Year's, right? So you go skiing with the kids and this and the other, and you're just not 100%, and that's okay. But I never like break the band on the way down. And then when it's time, I go like toward the top of the band, you know? So as long as you can stay there and remain sane, that's perfectly fine. So speaking of sanity, how do you measure progress and how often? Sometimes I think the ability of taking selfies is crippling to people, absolutely crippling, because people take 3 selfies a day, and you know, progress comes at a rate where you're gaining like 10, 15 grams of muscle a day, so there isn't really that much, right? So Arnold and these guys, they took pics every 6 weeks, because by then actually had to come a guy with a camera and so on and so forth and develop the photos, and you had to go to the older people like me, they remember this. You go to the supermarket or the development place and you pull out the packet, the envelope, and you're like, oh crap, I have my thumb on it and it actually didn't come out, right? So today, people drive themselves absolutely freaking nuts by taking selfies all the time. They're like, I'm too fat, I should cut, I'm too lean, I should bulk, my shoulders, my arms. So like then Monday they do the super duper chest program, by Wednesdays they're blowing up their arms, by Thursday they're doing the intermittent fasting, or by Sunday they're doing keto, and stuff. So I had a guy, he dropped somewhere like 80 pounds, over 2018. You know what he did? Even though I didn't quite agree with him, he did intermittent fasting, that was the thing in his workout. And this guy just put the blinders on, okay? And he just took photos and weighed every other Monday, and that was it, okay? And he stuck to it, and it worked. So people that follow a plan, even though the plan is bad, let's say, or not optimal, they do better than people that jump programs all the time. As an example, if you studied history, remember Soviet Russia, they built Magnitogorsk, right? Which was a ginormous waste of resources and so on and so forth. But because they believed in the program and the plan so much, they from nowhere created this factory brand, the Ural Mountains, okay, which is impressive. Could have been done better, no doubt, but they did it, okay? So pick something, and then you tune everything out, excluding me, of course, because I know everything. But you pick a program and a diet, and that's what you go with, okay? And you do not jump around all the time. You don't do like, oh, I'm taking a vacation, should do this, and so on and so forth. Like, you give yourself, sufficient time. So this guy transformed within 12 months, more than most people do in 10 years, okay? And he just sucked it up. It's like saving money, just do it, right? So selfies, I mean, honestly, like, there's not that much difference. It also depends on the light and this, that, the other, I said this in an email to the group the other day. Like, over 10 years, I gained about 22 pounds of muscle. So that's 2.5 pounds, if that, a year, right? So that, if you break it down monthly, that's next to nothing. It's like a quarter, right? So a quarter pound over 30 days, you're looking at like 10 grams. So if I had taken selfie on them, I would have never gotten anywhere, So you need to have that vision that building your physique is really like building a company or, a career, or going to law school. You just have to put the time in, and then it will happen, okay? So we got this, we got that. That's interesting. So like, one of the things that happens a lot right now is like a couple goes to the gym, okay? And the dude loses 10 pounds by just like showing up more or less, and the girl ends half a pound or so. And this can get huge fights. I mean, in my business, I've seen like people almost got divorced, right, over this. And because the girl gets frustrated, and rightfully so. So there's a couple of reasons. Like, first of all, guys are bigger, so they carry more fat, which means they have just more to lose, right? So like, I mean, if I lose a percent of body weight, that's like 2.4 pounds. Somebody who weighs 100 pounds is obviously much less. Guys also store visceral fat, which means it's dangerous for the health because around the organs, but it comes off quicker. Girls generally do not use that many fatty acids when they work out, so there's not that much breakdown. They also have less muscle, which means the intensity is not as high, and they're not creating that much metabolic damage, so they have to work harder. So if you're in a relationship like this and you're the guy, it probably pays to be supportive and say like, look, and try to explain scientific terms. There's also, of course, the danger when people are frustrated, they fall victim to some crap that Gwyneth Paltrow puts out, or like, oh, I'm not losing weight, I should do like the green chocolate diet or whatever. Stay the course, it will come. The fitness industry is very good in preying on people that are confused or frustrated, because everybody wants to be pretty and popular. The fitness industry says like, hey, I got this for you, I got you, just buy this. And it's not gonna work, okay? So yes, your route is slower and probably more frustrating. On the bright side, females live longer, don't have to do the military, and you also have less fat to lose. So if you end up losing 3 pounds of fat on a smaller frame, that's probably going to be like 10 pounds on a bigger frame, right? But yeah, I've seen huge fights of couples going to the gym and then like the girl getting really frustrated. And of course, what happens is then somebody gets frustrated and said, I got to do more cardio, I got to do this, and you just can't fast forward, So be patient. It's a long-term thing. It's just. So then I've been accused of pushing half reps and no lockouts. That is not true. Here's my take on the range of motion. There's 2 components. First of all, there's ability. So let's say somebody cannot do this. Well, if I tell this guy to do a shoulder press all the way down here to up there, I'm going to injure him. So he's going to start here just doing this, and then as he gets more flexible, he comes down, right? Some people can't squat without the heels coming off, so they're going to start with a partial squat, okay? So the ability determines what you're doing. And then the second is anatomy. So let's say somebody wants to train his chest or so, then the anatomy dictates that we're doing, so from the side, we put it going down here like this, so there's a fist above the chest, and you're driving till about here. You wouldn't lock out, okay? Because we're not in the lockout or moving the weight business, we're in train the chest. So if I'm rolling my shoulder and I'm locking out, now I can't squeeze my pecs anymore because all the weight is on the shoulder and the elbow. So anatomy dictates a great deal as to what we're doing, because as a bodybuilder, locking out is joint work. So I can probably hold 700 pounds standing on my neck, right, sitting here, but I cannot squat 700 pounds, okay? So whenever I lock out, my quads relax and I can breathe, okay? So the constant tension principle will enable me to get more metabolic damage, and also, because I'm old, save my joints, okay? So every time I do this, right, I hit my elbow, I hit my shoulders, right? And then by the same token, every time I go all the way down here, I hit my cuff, whereas if I'm go from here to here. So how do you determine the range of motion? It's actually very simple. You're flexing the antagonist. So let's say you doing chest, I'm pulling down and now my lats are flexed, okay? So now this is the maximum I can do. And then I'm pushing forward. So the active range of motion is what I want, not the machine range of motion, like, because I can have the leg press stretching me all the way down, but the question is, how can I, just optimize what I'm doing with the muscle I'm trying to target, if that makes sense. So there's a big difference between active range of motion and potential range of motion, okay? I can take the dumbbells all the way down here, but if I'm actually squeezing my lats, this is it, okay? So then the question is, how can I fuel for muscle growth if I'm also running? Well, you just take it into account, just basically doing cardio, so you can still build muscle. You just will have to eat a couple more carbs or so. Just experiment and see where you're at. As I said, like, the muscle growth will not be more than, let's say, 2 pounds a month or so. So if you're gaining more, then it's just not muscle, okay? So that's all the time I have today. If you like this podcast, please share it so that more people can watch it. And in the comment section, you can hit me up for new questions come next week. I'll be happy to answer them. Oh, there's another question I forgot. What's the best cardio to do? I'm in between swimming and running. That's a good question. So swimming is a great cardio. There's one problem with it. Most humans suck at it, okay? So most people are not very good at swimming. They spend most time staying afloat, okay? In fact, only dogs of all mammals are less efficient than humans in terms of swimming. So if you like to swim, but really all you're doing is like keeping yourself afloat, you're not going to get a great workout and you're going to fatigue pretty early. So then swimming is probably not your option. So the best cardio is the one you do. That's very simple, Like I despise cardio from the bottom of my heart. So right now, unfortunately, I can't take the bike because New York City is too cold. So I'm doing the treadmill. So I swim with my daughter. So if you're a good swimmer, then it's a great cardio, But the same with rowing. Like when people go on the rowing machine and all they're doing is pulling from the arms, and it's actually a leg movement, they're just going to fatigue the biceps without actually getting a workout, okay? So unfortunately, running is very efficient, it's kind of boring, and with all cardios, the body gets used to them quickly, so then you have to add either intensity or, outdoors beats indoor cardio at any given day, but in the Northeast, that's not really an option. So that's it. I shall give the locker room back to people who actually need it. And like I said, hit me in the comment section, share the video, and we'll chat next week. Thanks, guys.